From offshore drilling to the police and fire candidates to annexation, I sit down one-on-one with City of Charleston Councilman Peter Shahid for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Councilman Shahid.
Yes, sir.
It is so good to see you again.
It's always good to see you.
I appreciate this.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you.
Anytime. So here we sit. It's the day before the Charleston City Council meeting, special meeting tomorrow at the Gilliard Center.
Right.
And there's so much to talk about from this agenda. I see here, roll call, introduction by Mayor Tecklenburg, pledge of allegiance, introduction of police chief candidates by Mayor Tecklenburg, executive session, personnel decision with candidates. What sticks out in your mind when you look at that agenda?
Well, it's a very simple agenda. We're going to have an opportunity to meet with the 5 candidates who have been vetted through the initial phase of the search for replacement for chief of police.
Yeah, and from there, obviously, there's a lot of issues going on in the city of Charleston right now.
Right.
And this headline came from the Post and Courier just today. Hearing on offshore drilling likely to attract large crowd in Columbia. So what do you want to hear from lawmakers in Columbia?
Well, I'm opposed to offshore drilling. One accident will kill the shoreline. You kill the shoreline, you kill our economy. It's an economic disaster that is waiting to happen. And so I think the cities have been very proactive, particularly on the eastern seaboard, of opposing offshore drilling. Mm. So I hope that the state legislatures hear what we're talking about. I mean, you want to kill the goose that laid the golden egg, have offshore drilling and have an accident.
Mm. Well, let's turn to another issue, the short-term rentals.
Right.
This is from the Charleston City paper. The headline reads, Planning Commission sends short-term rental rules to City Council.
Right.
So what should that discussion go like?
Well, you've got, we're one city. And the mayor's talked about the cities being in sort of like in different boroughs.
Right.
But West Ashley, which I'm going to concentrate a little bit on the answer to your question, I'm very much concerned about the provision of the recommendation from Planning Commission that the owners of homes that can be rented out can be vacant for a period of 70 plus days. The way this was presented to us was homeowners who needed income. This is their home. They are using something that was part of the American culture going back to colonial days, and have people rented out their rooms to generate some income to pay off the high property taxes and other expenses associated with their home. Well, if they're vacating their house, that defeats with the whole intent of what was initially proposed to us. That if they're leaving their house, this is turning into a rental. And the question becomes to me, how that's going to affect my neighborhoods. Because now we're taking a residential community. I live in Northbridge Terrace, so you take houses throughout my neighborhood, throughout my subdivision, and you turn them into short-term rentals. That's not what I bargained for. That's what my neighbors bargained for. They bargained for that the person living to the right or the left of them or across the street from them were permanent residents. Or if they rented their house out for a year or 2 years or something along those lines, they rented it out to somebody who was there, who they knew. Mm. And you didn't have this turnover of occupants coming in and out of this house. We knew who our neighbors are. And so once you start doing that, you don't know who your neighbors are. And now you turn a residential community into a place where people come to on short term to stay and be tourists. And that's not what we bargained for. And that upsets the balance of what a neighborhood is supposed to be about. A neighborhood is supposed to be about people living next door to one another in community, doing things together, going to the pool together, shopping together, playing sports together, recreating together, coming over to your house for dinner, things of that nature, looking out for one another. That's going to upset that whole philosophy. So from the West Ashley component, when I'm looking at my constituents, I'm going to be opposed to anything that deals with the owner being allowed to vacate a period of time. The owner, for this to happen for short-term rentals, the owner has to live in the house.
Mm. Another issue in West Ashley, as we stay in West Ashley, is annexation.
Yes.
Annexation.
I know that in years past, the mayors have been very active, starting with Mayor Palmer Gilliard, on annexing parts of West Ashley. We have too many donut holes in West Ashley, and that creates bad government services to our citizens. This fight going on now with these large tracts on the upper part of West Ashley that's just going to be bad government. We need one government, City of Charleston, to annex these lands, bring it into the city. You know, so we'll see how this legal battle plays out. But if I had my druthers, all of West Ashley would be in the City of Charleston.
Let me go back to my first question to you
Okay.
about the City Council meeting for tomorrow, the special council meeting. Obviously, you had a chance, you and the other council members had a chance to talk with the fire chief candidates last week. You know, when I do interviews all the time, I always go back and ask myself, what did I miss? What should I have asked extra?
Right.
What should you ask if you could go back and ask them?
No, I think that the interviews were very thorough. I sat in last week with the interviews that we had at City Council meeting. I sat in at the interviews in which the candidates presented themselves to the firemen at the Maritime Center. I listened to all of that. I heard them make their presentations on questions presented to them. And I sat on the Tuesday panel in interviewing these candidates for an hour per with fellow citizens and fellow council members. So I got a lot. I heard a lot. And as chairman of the Public Safety Committee, that was my responsibility to garner as much information as I could. I had very good conversations afterwards with my fellow panelists and some other folks who were on panels, with different panels, but part of the panel team, to get a sense of where they were headed and what they were thinking about. I've had some conversations with the mayor about it and other council members. So the answer is, there's nothing that I think we looked under every stone we could.
Good. And is that the same way with the police chief?
That's my intent for the police chief. We'll do the same thing. We had 4 candidates for fire. We'll have 5 for chief of police candidates to review. It'll be a little bit longer day, but that's fine. I'm looking forward to it. We've got some very good candidates coming up from around the country. When you look at the quality of the candidates for both the fire department and the police department, people in those professions want to be here. We've got great departments. We have great personnel working in those departments. God bless those men and women who put on the uniform, who protect us. Sure. We've got to be very supportive of them, and we've got to be able to give them the leadership that they want and that they deserve, and what our constituents, what our citizens need. We've got to make sure that's our #1 priority as a city, is protect our citizens, and we've got to make sure we got the best that we can find.
You talked about citizens. Let me go back to West Ashley just for a few minutes, because what's the future of the Glen McConnell Parkway in your mind?
Well, I mean, you've got a lot of issues coming into play with that area. You know, part of the Glen McConnell Parkway includes the Church Creek Basin, flooding. So, I mean, you can't talk about anything development-wise until you have flooding as a major component. So any development has got to address our current problems with flooding and our future problems with what we can do with flooding. Some of the things that I think we can do with the Church Creek Basin are maybe some quick fixes that help alleviate some of the issues, not all of them. It's a $40 million plus price tag to really address what we need to take care of. So as we're developing that area, we need to be mindful of those needs. Transportation is going to be another issue out there, and people, you know, are having problems that it takes too long to commute back and forth. So it's not just building more roads. This is part of the West Ashley revitalization plan. This falls right into our lap of the revitalization plan. Sustainability, transportation, also recreation, you know, also economic development, also housing, you know, better parks, better playgrounds, more the schools, the libraries, the transportation components, shops, restaurants, things of that nature all fit into that. So it's just not a simple, let's put our finger into the dike to stop a flooding issue. We have to look at the whole component, what we do with that part of West Ashley. And
now you have new city council members. Kevin.
Yes.
Harry.
Yes.
Carol.
Yes.
What is it like?
I've enjoyed working with them. They are not shy. They have jumped right into the fire, and they're very eager and enthusiastic, and I've enjoyed our short time together so far, and I'm sure we'll have a good relationship with them. Looking forward to working with them.
Councilman Peter Shahid, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
Thank you. Anytime.
Likewise.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.